Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Chasing Psychological Safety. Today, a little bit of scaremongering topics. We have heard them referred as such, but we think that this time around, it's not that at all, but a very clear and present danger, which is we see signs from the market that we are walking away from the amazing moment we have had in terms of understanding our humans at work that has been created by this horrible pandemic situation. And instead of walking towards it and embracing the human work and redefining around what good looks like in a hybrid environment, we see a number of companies kind of losing their North Star in the conversation around people. And we also see, more worryingly, companies that are talking about the return to normal or the return to the office. And we strongly believe that this would be dramatic and incredibly suicidal on the part of companies that would elect to do that. If you look at our article last week in the other newsletter on Wednesdays, The Future is Agile, it goes more in depth towards the two topics that have contributed to this one being burnout and the other one being tone deaf to the new reality. But what we're saying in one breath is that you will lose people if you do anything other than listen to them and with them build the new reality of hybrid. And today we're finally here to give, finally, I'm telling you why we're here, we're not finally here, but we're finally arriving at the point that what we'd like to do is give you some very clear tools and some very clear to-dos that you can still grab at. I know some of us feel like it's too late, we've already put a statement out, there's policies in place. It isn't too late, it's still worth doing the human work and going back to that canvas in terms of teams.
Absolutely. I think the thing that we've talked about before that we've got in our software that really works is something called the Team Relaunch. And we just wanted to talk you through the practical steps of that today, because it is literally never too late to do the Team Relaunch. And now most organizations are perfectly positioned to be doing this kind of work. So the first step with the Team Relaunch, and ideally you do this at the moment face-to-face, because the world of all remote has been our reality for the last 15 months or whatever it's been. Now we're coming into either staying all remote for some small number of organizations, but mostly moving into hybrid work, part home, part office, part wherever you want to work. But we haven't been together, so we need to rehumanize, we need to come together in person. And then even if you are working hybrid or all remote, come together in person a few times every year, everybody together at the same time in the same place. And the first step in the Team Relaunch is to organize yourselves around your outcomes, organize yourselves and your teamwork and the way you work around outcomes and success, rather than around location or time zone. What flexible work is going to offer us is literally that flexibility. So in order to have that, and in order to have hybrid work, we need trust, we need psychological safety. And the only way that's going to work is if we trust our people to work towards outcomes in a responsible, autonomous, and empowered way. And for the teams that are already doing that, it's really working. They're seeing huge success. We know it's a big step for lots of leaders, but if you can make that leap as a team, you will see the benefit. So this means sitting down, working out what your goals are, and then allowing people to get there in whatever way they see fit, and whatever is the best way for them to get there, that allows them that flexibility in their own ways of working.
So again, as we say over and over again, this is not a theoretical exploration. We're not asking you to just take time for a day away and then just kind of circle mindlessly through topics for the sake of it. We're asking you to sit down, post-it notes, pen and paper, whiteboard, whatever is necessary, so that you contract and agree on the ways in which this best works for you. And in that conversation, we find that the most practical frame that then informs what you want to discuss is to refer to the type of work you're going to be doing. And essentially to simplify everything and kind of take away all the big concepts and what does it really mean to us. And you should still go back to doing those, but don't start with them. Start at what is individual work and what is group work. We have said this over and over again. That will start informing what you want to be doing together and when you should be doing things together and when you shouldn't. So if you kind of start splitting from your total of to-dos what things do you need to do individually and what things you need your group and your team for, then that alone will start giving you some form of framework. If on top of it, you are incredibly honest about your personal needs and the needs of the team as a whole, then you're going to start seeing patterns of things that match together. And you're right, the ideal situation for everyone is that location and timing of work never matters. What matters is what we produce as outcomes that make our customers happy, and that we do it in a time that makes us happy. And that time that makes us happy is when, as individuals, we can easily get in flow, we can be in the zone, we can produce our very best work at our very golden time, whenever that is. And so as individuals, we need to start getting to learn that about ourselves. When is it that I'm at my best? Is it early mornings? Is it the middle of the night? If I have this space for absolutely individual work that is not mandated by my company and it doesn't depend on other people's time, then I can do this at any time. When would be my absolute ideal time to do this? And if you identify that time and then try and put it together as a team, you're more able to find those golden hours and those flows, and then find the times when you should be doing it together, maybe in person, maybe remotely. That's also a conversation that comes into it. But what we're saying is, some of this work has to be done maybe pre this meeting, if you wish. So do a little bit of a conversation with yourself, incredibly honest. My ideal world, when would I be doing my individual part? Because if you are clear on that, and if you are honest and open about this, is just, that's how I function. 3 a.m. is my golden hour. So you guys know, my best things are going to be done between 3 and 4. And if that's your only perfect hour a day, then that's the one you should be taking. You'll be 10 times more productive than trying to do it from 8 to 4, whenever the company mandated you in front of your computer. So be adult enough to admit what works best for you. Be adult enough and courageous enough to say to the team clearly and say, stop trying to make me do something at 8:30 because that's when I feed my child. So be very clear that it's not a shameful thing to have life seep into your work life. You have to fit them all together. This is the conversation you're having. So time management, self-care, understanding of what's your golden time for being most productive, all of those have to be a pre-conversation to the team one, and then bring them to the table in the team relaunch.
Absolutely. And the next big step that's going to follow on from this is really, really making sure that we do intentional work on team behaviors, intentional work on the team dynamic. And this conversation is age old, saying to you as an audience, we know you know this, that the work on behaviors is as important as the technical and delivery work. In fact, the work on behaviors is the work on the technical and delivery work. But the sooner we can make that connection, the sooner we can realize that doing the work on the team dynamics is what's going to make your delivery more efficient, is what's going to make your customer service more excellent, is what's going to give you everything you need in terms of performance as a team, is when you're going to find the power and the control to take the time to do the people work, to work on the team dynamics. So to spend time thinking about what are the behaviors that we want to see in this team, what are the behaviors that we've really valued in the teams we've worked in the past, the teams that we've seen been hugely successful? What were the behaviors that drove that success? What do we want to see in this team? Equally importantly, what don't we want to see in this team? What are the behaviors that we've seen be destructive to success in the past? And what don't we want to see in this team? And what do we sign up to now? And it's not a once and done. You need to check in on it every team meeting or every monthly ceremony that you have, whatever it might be. You need to find a way to bake in the check-ins on those behaviors all the way through your work, so that the more often you check in on them, the more successful you're going to be, because you're going to be having that set of group behavioral norms. And at the center of those should be a safe to speak up, psychologically safe environment. But that work is taking the time to do that work is going to save you time in the other space. And the idea that they're separate is it's a fantasy. They are the same thing. The people work and the technical and delivery work are one and the same. So doing that work on the group dynamic and the behaviors is going to make an enormous difference to your team.
Exactly. Both of those bits, or all three of those bits, are incredibly necessary. We'll put them in a list for you. No need to try and recap from our all over the place conversation here. But one of the things I was saying earlier is you don't necessarily need to, you would presume that a team meeting will start with, hey ho, this is why we're here, this is why we love this company, this is why we do what we do. And there might be some value in doing some of that positioning of reminding everyone what we're attempting to achieve. But I would rather suggest that you keep those conversations about purpose and those conversations about impact towards the end of your session. And if you position them that way, then you'll find that instead of them being a theoretical repetition of something that the company has written on a marble plaque in the hallway in the times that there were hallways, it will then become instead a lot more of a personal conversation. It will refer, you will have been reminded of the moments of flow. You would have been reminded of the moments when you are running fast with a team, when you have a psychologically safe and highly performant team. And because of those memories and because of those moments of placement in your mind, you'll be a lot more able to bring the topic of purpose to a very individual one. You'll know what it means to you. You'll understand why the impact of your work will then power these moments of flow and these moments of magic. So discussing the why we're doing what we're doing, both what does it give me and what does it give my end customer that I can be proud of, those things are probably a better conversation left towards the end of this team exercise.
Absolutely. So that's it. That's the team relaunch. Those are the steps. And it is never too late to take part in those steps. And as we always say in any of our conversations with you, if you want to come and talk to us about psychological safety and a software that can support you in increasing and measuring it, we'd love to talk to you. But if that's not on the agenda for you, if you're not quite there yet, then please just take these steps and do them in a manual, practical way with your teams. That's what we're here to try and make happen in the world. So thank you for listening.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.